Hey, how's it going, people? How's everybody doing today? It's Carpo here. Been meaning to make this video today, and I just reluctantly started making it here out of the blue, even though I'm not quite prepared for it yet. I thought if I didn't do it, it's kind of one of those now or never things. This happens a lot when I'm making videos. I'll make one and just, I don't want to upload that. I think that this subject is one that needs to be addressed, and one that I've addressed in the past, but first I'll start off. I like to consider myself in a way an herbalist. Now, I have been told by people that well, you shouldn't call yourself an herbalist unless you've gone to school for it. And after careful consideration of that idea, I've come to the conclusion that it really depends on what you consider to be valid schooling and an education on the subject. First off, as a person, having my own company where I sell herbs, and mainly it started through selling kratom, it wasn't just because of kratom, it was because I'm fascinated with different herbs and natural products. I should say, I hate using that term natural, and I'll get into that. But I should say raw products, or herbs in their natural form, unprocessed, for a variety of different issues. Now, over the years I've talked about different herbs and their uses, but I'm very limited and reserved on how often I make videos about these things and what I'm willing to say. The reason being is because there's a lot of hogwash bullshit out there that's being purported as these amazing cures for everything you can imagine. It's very frustrating to watch, as all I can say to somebody is, hey, this herb has historically been shown to help some people with this condition. Maybe it will help you. You never know. And then you get down to the idea of, well, how much of this is placebo? And I'm not going to get into too much of the details, but placebo, throughout the herb and the pharmaceutical industry is rampant. What's happening today is I feel like a lot of folks are turning to the natural products. They call it natural products, but really that name has absolutely no meaning. The word natural and organic is seldom as different as we really think they are. But especially the word natural, you got to realize that everything is natural. We feel like we've separated from our environment so far that we're trying to kind of gain that back. So we equate natural with being healthy, when in fact many of these herbs have severe negative side effects that can occur if you take them with certain other drugs. They may have interactions like St. John's wort does, or taking too much mucuna, or too much kratom, or smoking too much cannabis, or any strong high-powered extract that we don't quite understand how they work. Well, the reason I don't talk about these herbs as often is because there's not a lot you can say without talking out your ass. And I kind of cringe when I see videos when people, these guys standing there that are like, our company sells this product and it helps digestion and it improves sleep and AIDS, it'll do everything for you. It's this cure-all. And people wonder why the herb industry is attacked, or the supplement industry rather. So I guess as a person selling supplements, I cringe at the supplement industry, and it's what kind of makes me withdraw from the whole process. There is a lot of dishonesty out there. We're talking about a multi-billion-dollar industry, and everyone wants to point the finger at Big Pharma as being the enemy. What we've got to realize is in both industries, the herbal, the supplement industry, and in the pharmaceutical industry, there are innovators who invent new products that are maybe in the herb industry. It may be a combination of herbs, but usually these go back historically and don't have as much basis in study as, say, something that we know has helped. And now people are out there bashing vaccines and antibiotics, forgetting a time when we had these diseases, forgetting a time when an infection on your toe could kill you. And so both have their place. And so I'm not here to dismiss or support either the pharmaceutical industry or the herbal supplement market. What I'm here to say is that they both have those who are trying to do an honest service to people for the cost of, and it costs money to do these things, so of course people charge money. Everybody has to earn an income. But then there are the snake oil salesmen, which are everywhere. And unfortunately, it's not always the snake oil people who are literally selling these products that, it's not always somebody who knows better who's lying to you. it can actually be people who believe that these things work because they've seen it firsthand with their own experience, let's say. And that's what you call anecdotal evidence. When a person says, well, I was feeling depressed and I started taking this herb and so I started feeling better, that's anecdotal evidence. That's not a trial. There's a reason why even in trials we have the placebo effect and double-blind studies to try to weed out the maybes and the what-ifs. A lot of times you'll get the answer when you talk about these things of, well, who cares if it's not real, if you think it works? And a lot of times this is true. But let's talk for a minute about the cost of some of these things and the fact that many of the herbs and supplements on the market don't even have what they say in them. And some of them actually have, there was a case of this natural Viagra that was supposed to, help men. Come to find out it really worked. Well, it contained actual Viagra. And overseas, you can put, I'm not going to get into what might be in the supplements. More often, it's what's not in them. And even if it is what it says it is, the question is, how much does it really help you? And then we have the being caught in the beliefs of who we are. If we consider ourselves, well, I'm a natural person, I believe in homeopathy and natural medicine. Well, we stop looking at things rationally and critically. We start to support the natural foods and the natural herbs over any pharmaceutical. Like, everyone over here is out to kill us and everyone over here is out to help us, and it's complete nonsense. But what is even worse is celebrity endorsements. These stupid, trendy, different methods, like vagina steaming is one I heard the other day. Yes, there's something called vagina steaming. It's hilarious. There are so many of these. For example, this cryo treatment where you go and you freeze, get into like a liquid nitrogen, or nitrogen gas for like 2 minutes, 3 minutes, or whatever, and it's supposed to put your body into survival mode. And the athletes were using it for certain things, so all of a sudden everyone started using it. People are getting vitamin treatments and injections, and everything you can imagine. Just saying, well, these things keep us healthy. Not asking, is it really doing what it says it's doing? Or are you having a placebo effect to these things? But beyond that, how much does it cost? And who is manufacturing, these huge machines and sending them out to these facilities in order for people to just say, yeah, come on in and try this, whatever it may be. There's no real trials or anything to show that it does anything, but we're saying that it helps. A good example would be like ionic foot baths. Put your foot in a solution and then it turns brown and they tell you that's all your toxins. Let me tell you something about toxins. There's no such thing. There's no toxins in your body that build up in your cells. Yes, you can get toxins in your bloodstream and you can get toxins in your cells, but it doesn't operate as a machinery where you can just flush it out by a juice diet or by taking this certain thing you can just clean your system out. It's a fairly strong lack of scientific understanding of how the body works. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert. I've just learned as much as I can about it in order to better realize when I'm being duped and lied to. So, these Hollywood actresses and people, bullshit doctors like Dr. Oz and these guys who say, well, if they're using it, it must work. It must be great. No, it's just money. And it's unfortunate, but a lot of the times it's not even the money, but the people really start to believe it. Then we get into the placebo territory again. So I'll revert back to this. The idea is, look for real research in anything that you're taking. Don't just go to the first page of Google and pull up some quack bullshit quantum physics page about how, yeah, this helps to heal your energy meridians in your body. I, as much as the next person, would like to believe that our ancestors had this wisdom they passed on to us about chakras and chakra alignments and specifics on how these different concoctions and medicines might work on us, and how homeopathy might actually have an effect. But we're finding that placebo is more often than not the effect. Homeopathy is something that I would have liked to believe in, but after learning how it works and that there's really no active compound in the medicine anymore, well, when you ask people that who are, into homeopathic remedies, they say, oh, well, it doesn't matter because water has a memory and, it stores the information. And you say, well, how do you know this? And, well, it's just been well known. This is the problem. Nobody has anything to go back on. Everyone wants to bash science and say, look at, oh, science is, you know, is corrupted, and you know, this isn't always, the evidence isn't always right. Well, it's better than no evidence at all. You know, science wasn't some enemy that came to disprove everything else. Science came out of the desire to understand the world better, and it was entwined with religion at one time. It was about a different method of understanding. The problem was when science started to understand things on a different level than, say, the church wanted to believe, then it became the enemy of a lot of people. And in medicine, science is the enemy of snake oil salesmen and quacks, because if you can ask a person, how does this product work? And they can't tell you how the product works. Usually you get to the bottom of it and they say, well, if the people think it works, then it works. And that's not a good enough answer. I think that's a bullshit answer. Because I could not just sell something on it being placebo. And this is why I've found maybe this herb is a good one, and then I'll say, there's something, you know, there's something else there. What is the active compound? What is it doing in my body, to my cells? What can I see? What kind of evidence can we see? For kratom, for example, this is why, you know, I have no problem with, you know, believing that kratom is a magnificent herb. Not only is there evidence to show that it acts similar to opioids, and it helped me with my pain when I had chronic pain from my sciatic pain, but it also eases anxiety, helps with social anxieties, and you can feel it and see it by experiencing it. And this is different from somebody who's saying, well, if you drink this tea every day, it will boost your immune system. How do you know it's boosting your immune system? What exactly is it doing? So maybe that's just by saying a lot of this, of course, I'm not trying to put a damper on other people's beliefs. That's one of the things I try not to do. I have to bite my tongue more often than not. If a person believes something is working, who am I to say, no, this doesn't work? Because if you say it's working, it is working. The question is, what are you paying for this placebo effect? And how many thousands of dollars have you shelled out of your pocket? And I've talked to people who have told me privately that they spent, you know, one person said they spent over $100,000 on self-help. This is just with gurus and whatnot, and certain methods of trying to understand themselves. When it comes to the supplements market, we spend billions and billions every year. People are willing to give an arm and a leg, quite literally, to feel normal. So the question is, what is normal? And you remember that correlation is not causation. So that means that just because you say, well, you know, I feel good and I took this, so it must be this. You have to be able to repeat that over and over, and there's different times of the day where the body feels different. We have different hormone levels. We have different neurotransmitter levels. We start to produce, you know, more melatonin in the evening until it's time for sleep. So they start selling melatonin on the market. If you take melatonin like an hour before bedtime, it has no benefit whatsoever. All melatonin is doing is triggering your mind to tell you in a few hours it's going to be time to sleep. It's produced usually when it gets dark, but the point being that many of these supplements, cures, you know, vitamins are completely unnecessary, and some of them may actually be harmful in the long run, taking large doses. And it seems like for everybody who, you know, for every doctor who says, you know, this may be dangerous, there's somebody to say, no, that you're just trying to make us sick. You're trying to keep us sick. Look at this guy over here. He says that mega doses of all these vitamins are going to save your life. And look at this one study that we found. And it turns out to be a correlation, not causation. So you got to do your own research. Many natural products, what they call natural, they do work. Many organic, natural, gluten-free, wheat, soy-free, you know, capsule blends of whatever concoction it may be, they do have benefit to some people. But there's no one-size-fits-all. It's really important that we understand our own bodies, listen to our bodies. A lot of research is required, and that's beyond just Googling it real quick and looking at the first page. You know, we really should know what we're putting in our bodies. And the problem is that people aren't always lying to you. Often they really believe what they're saying. And so that makes it even more difficult. And we might say that's just how life is. Nobody's quite sure. But it's important that we realize when people are taking advantage of us and dig through the BS to get to the bottom of what our bodies need, really feel you know, if we eat something and it's not working for us, we know that. It's pretty, but there are natural products that can be just as damaging that you don't notice until long term. I guess a good example would be some of the most poisonous mushrooms. One of the scariest things is if you eat a poisonous mushroom and you feel it right away within the first couple hours, usually you'll be okay. If it's one of the ones where you feel it a day or two later, that's when the liver and the damage has already been done. Like death cap, you know, you don't even realize the damage has been done. And I feel like some supplements, just like some medicines and some foods, long term could be doing more damage that we don't even realize while we're trying to help ourselves. In fact, I found out that antioxidants are actually damaging in large amounts because our body needs to oxidize in order to function. So taking too many antioxidants, it could raise cancer rates, and that's still a correlation, not necessarily a causation. We're still working on that. I like to, one thing I've realized is people take advantage of confusion and the fact that nobody knows for sure what is really going on, you know. So people say, well, how can we be so sure this scientific study is accurate? I'm like, well, they've done it a dozen of them, and they've all came out the same way, and this is one thing we can know, and people want to throw everything out. They want to say, well, look, at this study was flawed, so most likely this study is flawed, so fuck it, let's not do studies anymore. Let's just say, well, look at what the ancients knew. Well, if they were taking this for this, let's just take it too. Sometimes that turns out to work, and sometimes it doesn't. So just realizing that there are just as many dangers with taking something that we consider natural or a supplement as there can be with pharmaceuticals or anything else. It's a matter of educating ourselves on what they are. So, you know, for me personally, I'm not a big eater. I eat maybe one meal a day, one decent meal a day, and then a smaller smoothie or a meal or a shake or whatnot. But over the years, I've always tried to mix several supplements in. Like for a while, I was taking, you know, I'd take my daily kratom and I'd make my smoothie and I'd put in like ashwagandha, mucuna, a couple different types of mushrooms. See, it was ashwagandha extract, some rhodiola, and I'd alternate between these different herbs for a while until I stepped back and I said, wait a minute, what do I really need and why am I taking these? Am I just looking for some way to feel a certain way, to feel normal? And for me, it's a motivation thing. I have a hard time finding energy these days. It is hard to kind of get going as you get older. And as this happens, people who get to my age, which is, I'm only 42, but once you get to that curve, you know, there's a reason why 40 is considered over the hill, and it's because you know that you can live to a ripe old age, but you lose that gusto, that youthful, like, all right, let's get out and do it, you know, type attitude, and you get, it's harder to break loose of your routines, especially if you have children and family. You get used to just being the parent and trying to work when you can, and to step back from it all and go, wait a minute, okay, what is my biggest issue now from when I was younger? And that's the lack of motivation and energy. And this is what a lot of these people prey upon. Say, feeling tired, feeling down, take this and you'll feel great. And that's how they sold ephedra for a long time too. Just watch out for diet pills, watch out for weight gain supplements, things like that. And watch out for any herb that's claiming to be a cure. Because here's the thing, there's nothing wrong with trying natural or herbal cures for whatever ails us. The problem lies in when we neglect getting a worthwhile or potentially life-saving treatment because we think that Big Pharma is going to kill us and that this is going to save us. To tell you the truth, you know, if I had to do chemo, I'd probably opt for something natural too. Hey, it depends on the situation and the quality of life that you want, you know. But don't fall into believing celebrity bullshit. That's what I'd like to leave on this note. People who endorse things are the ones who get us to try and buy these things. If somebody who's famous says they tried this and it worked, we're going to try it too. I am not as easily swayed. I don't have any heroes in Hollywood. I don't have any heroes in really anywhere in the world that are the kind of people that I admire aren't the kind of people who sponsor products. So, you know, when somebody comes out and says, you know, oh, this is the best product ever. I saw, what was it, Ice-T, the rapper? You know, I grew up with, you know, listening to Ice-T on and off, and I couldn't believe it when I found out he was on television years later. Like on whatever it was, CSI or some Law and Order, whatever. I never watched that, but then recently, like 2 days ago, I saw him on a commercial for some new natural energy bar or something. And he comes out and he's like, basically the attitude was, yeah, I'm in this commercial. They said they'd pay me in bars or money, and I took the money. And they're trying to be funny, they're trying to be witty, and they're trying to say, hey, our company just doesn't care, whatever. We make an awesome bar and, you know, we're cool. The problem is the celebrity endorsement. Every company is forced to do it. And not every company, but even well-meaning companies know that you want to get somebody to stand behind your product that others admire. And that's very unfortunate, because to me that means that the evidence isn't speaking for itself. That we trust one idiot actor's judgment in Hollywood over our own. I think there was one guy, I think he wrote a book even called like Gwyneth Paltrow is Always Wrong or something like that. And he was talking about something along the lines of a variety of foods that, you know, these celebrities claim, we're doing goji berries this month and, you know, whatever it might be the next month. I've seen a million fads come and go. I was ginkgo biloba for a while, and some of them aren't just fads. Some of them are very useful. That's the thing. Kratom became very popular, but it's for a reason that it's really helping a lot of people. It's not just because actors or actresses are taking Kratom. It's because the product itself shows that it works. So just be aware, be cautious, be smart about what you're consuming. Don't just take an herb because somebody says that it worked for them. Ask yourself what you need it for and what it's doing. And the same with pharmaceuticals. Taking capsules of random drugs just because your doctor told you to take them, you know, just remember, a doctor is like anyone else. Just like the herbalist, what are they learning? And have they learned enough about nutrition? Are they missing some basic root causes? So, being human is hard. Ultimately, everybody's trying to put their blinders on and avoid death as long as possible, which is to be expected. Just hopefully we're doing it the right way. Talk to y'all later. Be safe. Take care now.